Can we have opening music for this one? Like some ska shit. And then you like fucking spin the logo around and it hits and we're here and we're like, yeah.
This is a fun skater movie.
Yeah, this is a feel good, fun time skater, cool movie for cool kids and teens.
It's my family summer pick every year.
That's right. We're in the Harbor Podcast celebrating the summer with Kino's fucking summer series, dog. We're talking about
Kids. We're never gonna die.
Written by the polarizing Harmony Korine, which you might know him from Gummo or his shitty movie, the fucking whatever, Korine.
Korine's a character from Fire Emblem and Smash Bros.
Underrated Smash Bros. Character, I might ask.
Yeah, I agree.
All right, Harmony Korine, whatever.
I think it's
yeah, you might know him from Gummo or his recent shit movie, Beach Bum.
I liked Beach Bum.
No,
I liked Beach Bum.
That's a problem. That's a problem.
I liked Zac Efron.
The problem is that Casher liked Beach Bum.
Kind of.
I also like Spring Breakers. I like Kids.
Spring Breakers was good, but Beach Bum,
all right.
Beach Bum was like a shadow of what Harmony Korine once was. It was almost like
I like it.
It lost the satire, like
he's too Hollywood, man.
It was almost like a parody of his own shit, but not in a good way. I don't know. It didn't feel. I didn't like it. But this movie is one of the rawest movies of all time that we're talking about today.
It's the rote.
And what
I'll tell you what, it was a toss up between this movie because the director does another summer feel good movie called Bully. It was a toss up between Kids and Bully because like Bully takes place in the summer and it's like a lot of beach scenes like that, but like nothing really hits summer more than just like the fucking disgusting heat of New York City.
Yeah.
New York in the summers, it's sweltering.
It's disgusting. Trash everywhere. People fucking,
especially 90s Giuliani, New York, or whoever was mayor.
Well, that's the thing is like a big thing in cinema is like the transition from 60s cinema to 70s golden age, and a lot of that was getting you get darker content, grimier shit. And a lot of that was grimy early 70s New York cinema, which I am a fucking fan of big time. And how does that change? It kind of, they kind of sanitized New York in the 80s with some of their blockbusters.
Yeah, with like the fucking family fun.
Yeah, stuff like that.
Big ruined a nation.
The 90s came back with a more neo sleaze grime with New York again. I feel like
fucking here.
You had Ninja Turtles and the Foot Clan and stuff.
Yeah, big crazy fucking hard R movies. Yeah, no,
it's just honor of this podcast. I'm cracking Bush Lights at fucking 1:00 on a Sunday.
Yeah, well, it's just 90s. It hit a point where it was all the commentary was like, are kids too desensitized? What's going on with influence of violence in video games and media and stuff like that? And just like this is
years after the Satanic Panic too.
Yeah, this is
which that was more rural America, but still, I think there's more of an awareness of the corrupting influence upon kids.
Baby. MTV generation, baby.
And yeah, it was big on like talking about the desensitization of youth, and this movie is like, let's fucking hit it head on and just show a slice of life of horrific shit.
Well, it's like also at that time, skate culture and skate videos were like booming, and like a lot of those skate videos, they had the skate content. A lot of them had a lot of gnarly shit they did. Shout out to Camp Kill Yourself and all those fucking videos.
What is that?
It's CKY is what Bam and them were a part of back in the day, before Jackass was a thing. This is like a precursor to Jackass.
Yeah.
And it's skate videos mixed with a bunch of gnarly fucking pranks and stunts.
Okay.
Yeah. Watch fucking, you gotta go watch CKY videos because that is like proto Jackass, like influenced so many people.
It's Bam at his peak. It's Bam like at his creative peak. Like he's literally riding these stunts. He's a great skateboarder, like he's a pro skateboarder, but he's also the person that like made sure that we had this shit going on, man. And I'm a big fan, big Jackass historian fan.
And the way the movie is shot, it almost feels like a home video, and it really feels like you're just one of these guys experiencing it with them. And it's almost like these are old memories that resurfaced or something. It's the closest I've ever felt to being a teen in the 90s, because I was a small child in the 90s. So obviously I don't know what that's like. And if I was a teen in the 90s, it would not be in New York fucking getting drunk and doing drugs. But I don't know. Yeah, the way they shot it is very effective, and I can see why it would be so shocking to people when it feels almost like a documentary.
Well, I feel like, and this is why I wish Sam was here, because he was too greased out by this movie. And that was a perspective I wish we had, because we're all desensitized. No, we obviously, well, I
made Moomin, for fuck's sake, you know?
Yeah. Like we find, I guess part of it is because we were raised by the internet, and also we've been not, I feel like I haven't hung out at length with some of these people, but I've been adjacent enough to parties.
Oh, yeah.
I've been to parties where I feel like I've met some of these people before.
Yeah.
You know, and not, going out to their parties. Like in college, there would be like people who show up who's like, I don't know who this guy is. He's weird. Or some kid would show up and you're like, how old is this kid? Is this kid?
Shout out to
but also the point of, for me at least, I grew up in a very Christian, very sheltered household, knew nothing of this world at all. So when I got older and started seeing the world around me for what it was, I became more interested in this kind of stuff. And so, yeah, Gummo.
It's a subculture of like humanity. We still have shit like this that goes on today. It's just now it's like it's become a different subculture in terms of like what they follow. Like skateboarding, they still do shit like this in skateboarding. But a lot of them are focused on sobriety after realizing that drugs will fuck you up. And then you've got like a lot of skaters have gone into like the festival scene because that's where the drugs have gone and things like that. It's like this shit's always been persistent, and this kind of shined a light on it in the fucking 90s for sure.
Sure.
And
I think like this and SLC Punk were like the two that really shined a lot on all those cultures.
also, this movie is very important to me because, first of all, I'm an advocate for hangout movies. And two, the fact that there was an artist or a public debate over its artistic merit. That's why this movie is so important to me. The fact that people were trying to say that this isn't art is, to me, despicable. And
it's despicable. You could even say, I could even understand the argument that it's not good art or that it fails in some respects.
Sure.
I mean, that's a conversation I'm willing to have. But I don't know. It's not like this was put on obscenity trial, but people lambasted it as almost pornographic, which there's some male gazy stuff, and we'll get into that. But also, it's kind of supposed to be male gazy because it's from it's a chauvinist. It follows chauvinist characters.
Yeah.
The main character
follows,
his whole goal is to pop 2 different virgins cherries in 24 hours. And that's his entire purpose for being. It is people lost in the urban landscape, parentless, in a sort of, it's kind of like wherever they go in Pinocchio, where kids just smoke and drink and all this stuff. It's like that, but real and terrifying. There's no higher power. There's no art. There's no God. It's just everybody reduced to their animal instincts. That's this movie.
Yeah.
It's pretty good.
Yeah, it's interesting as fuck to me. And because it's real. And like Harmony Korine sold this screenplay at 19.
Yeah, he's a fucking baby. He was a baby when he made this, man.
He cameos as the dealer in the club who is,
his name's like Gadget or something like that, who forces a pill down Chloe's mouth.
So
gross.
Take this, baby. This will make you feel good.
So, here, get addicted to my drugs.
And
also, and that's the thing. There's one thing that interested me is, I guess some clubs just don't check ID that well. And there's 18 and up clubs in the world. I know that's a thing. I guess especially, I don't know if the drinking age was 21. I don't know what the drinking age was at this time. So maybe
Also,
you just had to
there's a
look
lot
at
of
it.
private joints that let people in that aren't
Yeah.
like
Like
official
underground fucking
clubs.
raves and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like this, most likely where she went was probably not like a state sanctioned business. Like
Yeah.
Well,
it
it
an
has a
LLC.
Wikipedia article. The place it is. It's based on a real place, so it was
Sounds
popular enough.
cool. I'd go.
But also, I mean, some of the stuff we see in this movie, it's they're on like 74th Street or something, so not in the good part of town. So at a certain point, the cops just can't police certain stuff. If they see somebody selling a dime bag in the park, they don't have the manpower to stop
Right.
every dime bag that gets sold in New York City, which is terrifying.
Yeah, ACAB.
And if you have to like argue about its artistic merit, like if you're shocked by this, good, you should be.
Supposed to be.
Like
And
it's
that was part of the marketing too. They would have
doesn't really
quotes like
glamorize
a wake up call to parents.
Well, it's
I
like
just-
I think a lot of people misinterpreted this as glamorizing it when like the main function of this movie, like we get to meet that dude at the beginning who like fucks the chick and he's like, I'm gonna try to get another cherry pop today. Turns out the dude's got HIV because of the antics he's gotten. So you have that whole sub fucking plot of
Not
like
subplot, plot.
Like I guess that's the main only actual plot of the movie.
right.
Is like her trying to find him to let him know, hey, you gave me HIV.
Son of a bitch.
Another
Also, like-
movie that cell phones would have ruined.
Yeah, right.
This
One
movie-
call.
This movie paints a portrait, and portraits can be ugly. You know, it's not that fucking hard to. I just really irritated me that was a big deal, like of its artistic merit. Like we've come so far.
I almost feel like that was pushed by the Miramax to be like, hey, it's kind of like, this is a much worse example of it. But when Mother came out with Jennifer Lawrence and people thought that was edgy, and then they had to put it on the poster because it wasn't making as much money. Their art film wasn't making as much money as they thought it would, I guess, because Jennifer Lawrence was in it. I don't know what they were thinking.
But yeah, dude, people hated that movie so much that this stupid chick that I was friends with on Facebook, I think she was part of Sith posting or something. She like posted pictures of herself burning the tickets of Mother. That's how much she was like.
That movie's not that
I
bad.
think nightmare movies like that, like dream logic movies like that, scare people in a way unlike any other movies. It gets to you on this weird psychological level. And that's why Fire Walk with Me is so effective, because of its dream logic and how similar it is to some nightmares that you might have. But anyway, we can talk about that.
This movie is a bit of a hazy dream too.
Yeah,
one thing I found interesting in the talks about this movie, I read some critics say this movie doesn't do enough to portray these kids as a victim of circumstance, of their environment, of the urban environment, which to me is insane because the movie doesn't sit there and spell it out for you. And the cinematography is so close up, you don't get wide shots of the city, but you still get the sense that they're in this chaotic environment without hardly any parents. The only adult with any real speaking role is their mom, and like,
hey, I ain't got no money.
Yeah, saying I ain't got no money while breastfeeding and smoking at the same time.
Right, yeah.
Because I guess in the 90s we didn't know what secondhand smoke was, but it's so the idea that anybody could see this movie and think the film, just because it doesn't do Hollywood moralizing of like, look what the urban life has done to these children, just because it doesn't spell it out for you doesn't mean it's not there. It doesn't, and I think it should. The film respects its viewers enough to be intelligent to realize that these kids, not all of them are just bad to their core. They were born in salted earth.
And they found a group of kids that accepted them in the skate culture. Whether that's a good thing or not, you like freaks are gonna fucking flock to freaks. You know what I'm saying? If you're gonna survive in a situation like that, you're gonna flock to people who are, you know, they accept you. They may be rough around the edges, but like everybody there was like cool with each other, and like
everyone wants acceptance.
Only violent situation was when they beat the shit out of that one fucking dude in the park for being a fuck.
The close-ups. The movie's filled with so much close-ups. Like I said, like the film is painting a portrait of these people and this time period and this niche group of, you know, but also it's literally portraits of these kids. You get to look at them up close and just watch their expressions and watch how they interact with things up close with these close-up angles. I think it's really cool and really brilliant, and it adds to the rawness. And it's I don't know. Yeah.
I think my favorite situation with those is like when they're sitting on the couch smoking the blunt. And it's like 8-year-olds basically like, who'd you get this from? And like they're all close, just like getting real fucking.
Got it from my
this is
brother.
from my brother.
And they're all shirtless.
Yeah.
That scene impacted me so much that we made an homage to it in my film Moomin. Go check it out. Except these are all grown up, like 20-year-olds
Yeah,
on
we're
the
adults.
couch.
We're adults.
But yeah,
that's one of the. I was reading about the director, who's Larry Clark, I believe his name is.
Yeah, he makes a lot of polarizing shit.
He does, and he's from Tulsa, and he was hooked on injecting methamphetamines when he was a kid.
Fucking hot shots, my boy.
Yeah, well, and his photography books deal with that and will portray kids as that. And it's weird. This film has been criticized, and I can kind of see where people would get this, as being almost pornographic or leering in its wandering eye over children's bodies. He has one photography book called Teenage Lust, which I didn't even Google because I was afraid the FBI would knock out if I Google that. That even includes teens and like BDSM attire. And so the guy obviously has a fascination. You can debate on how sick it is, but a fascination with this. And that's one of those things. It is uncomfortable, but then we get into this argument of like, well, does it merit this? And I mean, I think the film, the any allegations of being pornographic or exploitative of this film, I think are outweighed by the artistic merit of this film.
I agree.
I will say that without a doubt. And it is a male gazy. It gazes into breasts, but also the characters are gazing.
Yeah, it's following two kids who are the epitome of like shitty masculinity, like fucking teenagers, man. Like,
I mean, we've all gone swimming with girls when we were in high school, and you know, it's hard not. Okay, well, me and Cash are, and you know, you get into some steamy situations. Your hormones are raging. You're kind of like, it's hard to think. I don't know. But also, it's definitely interesting with the masculinity because the pool scene, when there are pool, like they're kind of like, ooh, yeah, y'all are kissing, that's so hot, blah blah blah. When 2 scenes earlier they were calling that dude a fag and like beating the shit out of him and stuff. And so yeah, it's easy.
But they weren't beating the crap out of him. No, there is, and especially you spend a lot of your time shirtless with your homies talking about sex.
Yeah,
your wieners.
Yeah,
somehow
fucking some drugged out den with fucking no shirts on.
Yeah, flop house with some older dude like who runs it and just lets kids in, which is so creepy.
It's so weird.
I do. Yeah, I want to preface anything moving forward with some of the scenes we might talk about might contain material intense, like you know, sexual assault, stuff like that.
Yeah, there's definitely some
anyone listening that is, you know, and homophobia, like I said, like they just call you know, every name in the book, and then I don't know. So just a little warning, I guess. But yeah, what an interesting scene at the skate park. They call those gay guys that, and then they beat the shit out of that other guy, and just like
hoodlum shit. It's literally just like fucking hoodlum talking shit, fucking New Yorkers.
And you think like people are gonna step in or something. No, everyone wants to see it. It's an interesting part of their day to see someone get the shit beat out of them. Like that's entertainment for them. It's just really sad.
And they could have killed and definitely permanently maimed that guy. That's a whole. And they seem to all be so. And this is true for a lot of kids and even adults. Like when you're in this poverty mindset, you can only think like a week ahead at most.
Yeah.
You know, you have this almost animal brain, as rough as that sounds. So, I mean, even if there's one kid who's like, man, I'm AIDS, I don't know anybody who died of that. They made that shit up, which I read one criticism that was like, well, kids in the 90s, they definitely were aware of AIDS and da-da-da. I'm like, man, I bet there were kids that weren't though.
Yeah,
I bet
it's
most
not
of
like
them thought it was a fucking gay disease, which is like I know a lot of fucking people growing
yeah,
up.
for real. They did think
Yeah.
it was gay, and
They
it's not
didn't
like
think
you
they
can
get it fucking
most
sexually with a woman.
most of those kids can't fucking look shit up on the internet anyway because it's
Yeah.
the 90s.
Yeah.
And,
I mean, the amount of grown men I know who will just be like, man, you don't need a condom, just pull out, like stuff like that. They
Yeah.
have that mentality.
yeah.
You know?
Also, they're not watching the news. They don't watch TV like that. You
Yeah,
know?
dude. They watch skate vids like a bunch of hooligans.
Yeah.
Man,
You know.
I love the culture surrounding skate bids so much.
Yeah.
It's
Do you think Tony Hawk like made it too preppy? Did he ruin skate
he
culture?
did make it a little preppy,
A little
but
bit, yeah.
like, they also have like shit going on today, competitions where one of the challenges is to chew a pack of gum and then spit it into your teammate's mouth, and he's a part of that. Like, so like the gnarliness is there, but it's toned down. This was like
That's fine.
90s was like peak gnarliness of like you got Mike Valet, he fucking beating the shit out of 4 dudes at once, and
Oh, in the parking lot? I've seen that video.
and you've got fucking like Bam and CKY.
Dude, that was so odd. He was in the
got-
right. He was just defending himself, and he like took his shirt
Fucked
off,
him up, dude.
rode up, and beat up 4 dudes.
Mike Valet is scary, like, and like skaters had just like an all around pure gnarliness to them. This was like pre Ryan Sheckler, fucking all that shit. All these preppy skateboarders. This was back whenever skateboarders were like shooting heroin and riding around bulls and stealing 40s from the fucking bodega down the road. And I like that culture.
Yeah, I'm glad. Kind of glad Tony Hawk toned it down a bit, took it to the X Games level. That way we could get fucking awesome, badass games that we still play today.
No, that's totally fair. The games are the shit. I wish they had more realistic situations in there, like missing a tournament because you got too strung out in the middle of a fucking
Maybe
alleyway.
the new skate game will have that.
You have to beat the shit out of people. You have to like find different ways to call gay people bad words and stuff.
Distract the convenience store clerk while your buddy steals a 40.
Yeah.
What you
Do a
genius how he
kickflip to
does it,
distract
dude.
the cashier.
You tuck your pant leg in and he shoves it down. Like, that was genius.
Yeah, kind of similar
Casters
to
are fun.
reminded me of Menace to Society and Boys in the Hood shit, but also this kind of like lower budget hangout thing is kind of a do-it-yourself filmmaking trend. Not that this was it had some money behind it, but it's similar to some of the mid-90s movies of the time that were also doing similar stuff, like Linklater's Slacker and then Clerks, just like lower budget dialogue heavy.
Shit, it inspired one of the better movies that came out in recent years of that kind of stuff. Mid-90s, which is a great hangout movie.
Right.
Yeah,
And
sure. I didn't see that, but I was actually thinking about that.
Very good.
like,
fucking,
super influence
yeah.
for sure. I would love to. We should have gotten Jonah Hill on this cast to talk about it.
Dude, let me call him up.
Yeah, call him up real quick. See what he's doing.
No, because like Jonah Hill, I don't know if he is a skateboarder, but he might just be like me. One of
He's
the
a
fat
surfer.
kids that I was gonna say one of the fat kids that's just like super into that culture. Because I have never been a skateboarder, but god damn it, I love and know a lot about that.
I
fucking
tried,
shit.
man. I tried. I didn't know anything about skate culture, but I sure wanted to be a part of it. And like I would wear the DC shoes. And here's the thing, I didn't know anything about skateboards, so I tried getting one from Walmart thinking that would be efficient, and that shit doesn't work at all. You can't use it.
Yeah, that's if you just want to go straight for like 10 feet.
And then
And then slightly to the left.
middle school, I started going to skate shops and I tried to like build my own deck, but it was always too expensive. I could never
Good old
afford
good
it.
years.
So I would
skate.
always have to just play on my friends. I could never afford to build my own deck and never got into it, sadly.
Well, like growing up in middle school, all my friends were like big skaters and all this shit. Now, again, I was the fat kid who just had an intense fucking like fixation on that shit, dude. Like I still to this day will sit at home and get fucking stoned and watch a shit ton of skateboarding videos.
Seventh
Skateboarding
grade,
and snowboarding.
Cool.
7th grade to 11th grade, I wore fucking DC shoes, dude. Like
I think I've
fucking
probably got an old pair of
cool.
Etnies in my fucking closet.
Cool late
So that-
2000s.
I couldn't afford DC, but I could afford Etnies and then fucking whatever the Spitfire ones. But I
The
got called
Etnies,
a
dude.
fat-
If you saw the Etnies
Dude.
shoes, you know that guy's gonna steal your lunch money.
Dude,
Like,
I got fucking called a fag for wearing the Spitfire shoes, so I never wore them again. But like,
Great.
This whole fucking movie though is, like you said, just like a slice of life hangout with some really dark fucking undertones.
Like the fucking one of the main characters is not only is he obsessed with popping girls' cherries, but he's also fetishizing possibly sleeping with a 13-year-old.
Yeah, like, and he's what, like
the first scene is him, a 15, 16-year-old, having sex with, I think, a 12, 13-year-old, right?
Yeah, maybe.
And he's talking about how much younger she looked even a year ago in a photo.
Yeah, he's dude, and like he's so that's the only other thing I know that guy from is fucking The Wire, and he plays a junkie in that.
Oh yeah.
But he his voice is so greasy to me.
Yeah,
he's got that slight lisp and like
the
peanut
fact
butter
that
mouth.
If that guy was in any other time period in any other place, he would be a fucking virgin loser on the internet. He would not be getting laid at all.
It's just funny to me. Like, hear over him, it's like the worst voiceover ever. Like, you have really good voiceovers explaining situations, then you have his, and like that's what sets the tone more than anything for me. Is this guy's just like, yeah, and I popped her fucking cherry, like mouth full of fucking peanut butter, just like barely able to talk.
Fucking skid mark motherfucker.
even the speaking of mouths, even the way the awkward open mouth kissing, sloppy,
it's fucking
this movie opens
it's
with.
so uncomfortable.
They don't. There's no finesse.
No,
no.
There's
why that
no
movie
light
fucking
tip
rules.
of the tongue. There's no none of that. It's just
and like the shit that he's spewing too. Like, yeah, baby, you'll be the only one. Like, just really. Like, I'm not gonna lie, I've used moves like that in the past when I was younger, but it's like it's so skeezy.
Yeah, it is.
Now that I realize that now, it's like I wish I like everybody.
Did it take you watching this movie?
Well, when you're a teenager, you get kind of desperate.
Well, when you're a
for
teenager,
action,
you're like, yeah, baby, you're the only one for me. Like, blah 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 blah, and it's like, or even like not even when you're like 19, like it's
you say corny, romantic, stupid shit that means nothing to you.
You
just want to fucking get your dick inside some.
Yeah, high school horny is like there's no other level of horny. Like, it's the peak.
Horrifying.
It's fucking pulling your dick out on a school bus because it feels exhilarating.
This episode is horrifying.
Yeah, well, that's what you got to get.
I mean, that's the thing. There's no beating around the bush with this movie.
If you've watched this movie and you want to follow up on it and watch a podcast about this movie, you're good. You're okay.
Yeah, you're probably high right now.
Unless you're a mom looking to fucking, I don't know. You're too late.
Find ammunition for her.
Yeah, you're too late.
Well,
Columbine's happened, 9/11's happened. You're too late,
dude. A lot of this movie, it's not a comedy.
No,
but there's a lot of uncomfortable humor in it.
Sure,
like a lot of like uncomfortable giggles for me because it makes me uncomfortable.
Yeah, like when he stares at the mom breastfeeding and shit. And
yeah, dude,
cracks
like,
about the mom. That's some shit fucking teenagers would do. You know,
they're so sex starved, and then also joking about it to your friend to make him uncomfortable.
Yeah,
that's something you would do. But it's so gross.
Yeah,
the scenes where they're like hanging out in the fucking kitchen, just talking and riffing off of each other while they're drinking fucking 40s and like just talking shit that whole time is. We've done that. Like that has happened.
Sure.
Like,
but
it's so accurate.
I didn't fucking drink juice that was soaked in a fucking tampon.
No, you didn't.
Yeah, you didn't take your friend's mom's tampon and drink juice out of it.
Yeah, I can't say I've ever done that.
I'm just not going to speak on that one.
It's details like that.
If I have or not.
Oh, okay. Well,
what is amazing how much of this movie's almost entirely scripted, despite it not seeming that way.
I know, that's why it's so cool.
The performances are amazing like that, and I guess because I think they just found people close enough to this lifestyle.
They got a lot of non-actors, yeah.
The guy who plays Casper specifically was like, he was just a skater at the time at that age. Rest in peace to that guy.
Killed himself.
Yeah, which I wonder why.
Oh shit, I didn't know that.
Yeah, the only other movie I could think of him in was Next Friday.
Oh, I only saw the first one.
I like Next Friday. It's not the same.
I don't.
It's good. I don't care what you like. Okay, I'm just kidding. But no, he was like, I think he was like really like a part of that scene. I think a lot of these are also Harmony Korine's friends.
Makes sense.
Yeah, he recommended people like which is interesting because Harmony Korine is clearly not. He clearly got swept up in some stuff, but he's clearly a very intelligent guy too.
He could be smart as fuck and be in some of these cultures, like
yeah. Well,
he always got.
And so I do wonder how much of this is. Not that stuff like this doesn't happen, but this is a very condensed into one day sort of heightened activity of this lifestyle.
Yeah.
I think this is a busy day for them, not every day. This is a special day.
Yeah. It's like parallels of when we were shooting the party scene for Moonman, and it was kind of similar to the Grease level in this movie. And you know what I mean. But like shit started to blend together when we were shooting that. People were actually starting to drink and do stuff, and it was kind of hard to film with people being obnoxious. But the two brothers, I guess I'll name them, fuck them, the Cash brothers, then they were hanging out with us. They thought that was how we lived every single day, and they were like freaked out by that. And I was like, they called
us almost like a counterculture movement.
Yeah. And I was
ridiculous.
like, this is the craziest night we've ever had at the cul-de-sac.
I was playing Smash Brothers in a bathroom.
That was a good party.
Which reminds me of the bathroom scenes in this when they're like sleeping in the bathroom. Those flop houses, though, that's just how you got to live in New York. And rent was almost kind of affordable then. Now it's twice as crowded in those apartments. Now you just got to stack up on each other.
Like, you still get some, there's plenty of grime in big cities, but like, this is definitely a product of the old world, and an old world that needed to go away because, it's good that it's harder to get away with, HIV, like spreading HIV, the Me Too movement, stuff like that. And it's just like, you show this to teens.
Awareness, you're more likely to get called out for certain behaviors.
Yeah. And, because this is this could be a horror movie to certain people, and like, it is. You show it to teenagers now, I would love to see what they think. The problem is it's another like media literacy problem.
I would say you have to be at least a little bit media literate to be able to fucking.
Because I feel like a lot of teenagers would see this today and just be like, they wouldn't take anything from it except for like, oh, these people are bad.
After the reaction to Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers, I do not have faith in Gen Z's media literacy. So
that was
for real. What's up?
I mean, that is the thing. How I do wonder in today's New York, which is a lot cleaner, and people almost complain about it because it's become such a more sterile city, I guess. Depends on which borough, I guess. Manhattan, definitely. That's all rich people, international
Thank
money.
you, gentrification.
Yeah, but in the Bronx, I don't know.
Yeah.
I asked a buddy of mine who's from Brooklyn. I was like, so the Bronx, like, how much of it is hood and how much is not? He's like, 50-50, 60-40. He's like, it's not all that way, but also some of it's like, it's like Harlem now. Harlem has gentrified neighborhoods, people are like, oh, Harlem, but that's Manhattan. That ain't cheap.
Yeah.
I will tell you this. Whenever I like that the movie has two separate lines of where they're going to meet. So you've got like Casper and I'm just going to figure out his name real quick. I think it's Telly. Yeah.
Because he was raised by the television, I guess.
Yeah. So it's like you got Casper and Telly going on this fucking, having a rad hanging out day. Catcalling, trying to get some pussy. And then you've got fucking Chloë Sevigny's character, Jenny, being, starting is like talking shit with other girls. Like Rosario Dawson is in this too, which is cool.
She's not in it as much as I thought.
No, I think she got big later, and retroactively they made a big deal about her being in this movie.
Yeah.
But
she's fucking Jenny, like, she's 15. She's so young in that movie. It's wild.
Some of the parents who let their kids, like the 9-year-olds, get cast for this movie to smoke a fake, I assume fake, I hope fake blunt, and like sit on a couch and talk about weed. I'm like, their parents have to be on set for that, according to law, I think.
Yeah, well, they might, a little
They might
lower
just be
productions. They
like,
might just do some shit.
yeah. I almost wonder if they like skirted some late laws for this movie.
Oh,
It's prop weed, it's prop booze, wink, wink.
Well, like we have those two. They finally end up meeting up together, and you really think that she's gonna be able to tell Telly, and then she walks in there and sees him infecting another person,
yeah.
and then passes out on the couch, and then probably one of the most graphic sexual assault scenes I've ever seen
Easily
happens when Casper takes advantage of her while she's asleep. And then what's the last thing that's said in the movie when he's just, Jesus Christ, what happened? Yeah.
But also it's the fact that normally you don't want sexual assault to be gratuitous in a movie, but the rare case in this is the fact that it lingers on it is it just makes the scene, it makes it brutal. It ties pretty much the whole movie together in a really fucked up way, and it's really
you kind of like Casper for a little bit. Like, you don't think he's that harmless. Like, he's a skid mark scab type dude, but like, what's the worst he's done is like he knocked some fucking dude out in the park. He's not fucking.
That's pretty bad. He almost
pretty horrible.
We like anybody else that fucking. Well, the guy was like starting to be aggressive with him, and then they started to fight, and he knocks the guy out.
No, I mean, but
he's not doing anything that's like super fucking never come back from. And then he does that at the end.
And then, he gets HIV in the end, or exposes himself.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
May or may not.
Let me finish my point.
Yeah,
well, I'm saying that was my point. As I'm saying is that at the end he does something that is just completely irreparable. Not only does he fucking do the sexual assault, but he's now got HIV, and he's probably not going to know either. Like, I don't know how long Jenny would have stuck around after waking up in her situation, and whether she would want to be around that or not. Like, there's a lot of situations after this, like, we don't know the consequences.
Not good.
Yeah.
The thing about that, this is another changing culture thing. I feel like some people now, but back then, people almost wouldn't consider that rape. Kids those age in that environment, they'd be like, well, he wasn't screaming no, so it was okay. That's what it is. One thing, there are a couple brief moments of humanization in the beginning of the movie. And one is, they're kind of next to each other. It's when they're in the subway. One is when, despite all of their complete lack of culture, they appreciate the man playing accordion, And then the other one is when they give money to that legless guy who is riding a skateboard.
Yeah.
There's a couple moments that give you like these are humans, because they almost seem like mutants otherwise. It's like they casted the most scrawny skeletal people they could for this movie. Or maybe people were just skinnier in the 90s, that too.
Well, they definitely casted, like, they went to the trailer park and were like, which guys look like they would steal out of mailboxes? Which kids are running around?
Which kids have tortured cats before?
Yeah, for real.
This was my feel good summer movie, dude. This is the one that makes me feel real good about myself.
I was thinking of
Damn, I'm sweating.
I think Roger Ebert was one of the critics that backed
I don't
it up.
think liked it. Let me check.
He gave this 3.5 out of 4 stars.
Okay, which was because during the debate on which it was, we were talking about whether it was art or not of the people debating it back then. Roger Ebert coming to its aid is interesting because years later he would have one of the shittiest, most controversial takes on the subject of art, and it was him trying to say that video games didn't have artistic merit, which is fucking insane from someone who enjoys storytelling from film so much.
They don't, though. Video games are for children.
Okay. Actually, as somebody who's discovered this, I read one review he did of some obscure game, and he actually kind of liked it. I think part of what he was saying with that got lost in it. He said because of player interaction, and this is foolish still, because of player interaction, you lose authorial intent. When obviously player interaction is what gives it. The player is participatory in the creation of meaning in a video game, which is what makes them so interesting. And he was arguing you cannot have, or it is difficult to have authorial voice when you do that. Although, he was all over the place. He got I know he walked out of Caligula, but I think that's just because they were expecting a historical epic and got some smut.
What do you think Roger Ebert thought of choose your own adventure stories?
It's a good question.
Dude. Me and Jack Evans, we made our own choose your own adventure on a VHS tape before YouTube, and we would put like the time at the time, be like, fast forward to this point to get to this if you choose this ending. And I kind of think that's ahead of our time. I don't know, it's kind of cool.
It is,
especially having to do it on VHS, you know. I don't know, Jack was always creative and we were coming up with cool shit, and I don't know, but fuck, now I forgot what I was gonna say about this movie. But
Roger
Janet Maslin of the New York Times called the film a wake-up call to the modern world.
Yeah, that's plastered across the poster.
Yeah.
Do you think this movie, the director said he almost wanted to avoid the Hollywood moralizing. Do you think this movie comes off a bit as almost like a scared straight tactic to parents?
No, I think this movie is raw and real, and it was just trying to be its own thing. And then I think it was skewed that way by the studio.
It's hard to believe that any of this was scripted, like any of the conversations. Like the conversations are so fucking just like on point, fast. Like the conversations they're having when they're doing whippets in that fucking flop house are so fucking.
It feels so real.
lovely.
Yeah, like I said, like and the shooting style on top of it. It's
that in that scene, what they were saying was so insipid and vulgar that I could have lost fewer brain cells if I actually took whippets watching this movie.
Whippets give you brain cells, dude.
Yeah, that's why. Yeah, but also, yeah, like I was saying before, the ending of this film goes on for so long and purposely so to make you sink into your seat in horror. And that's one of the few examples of that kind of a scene where I'm actually glad they lingered on it, you know, purposeful.
Well, you messaged me and we talked.
Yeah, but also like that's one of the most fucked up scenes I've seen in a movie, and it was so funny because Scott watched that right before he came to Justin's party last night, and he was
like nice, friendly, like going away nice, party,
like crisp, clean going away party, and Scott walks in and looks at me. He's like, "I just finished Kids." I was like, "Damn!" I was like, "I know what's on your mind."
I was just watching. It was the movie. That's not funny. The situation was really funny.
What a mindset to be in when you go to a.
It kind of threw me. I didn't stay very long, partially for that reason. Also, partially. There was a bunch of people I didn't know and probably wouldn't see again because Justin's leaving for DC, and I was just like, I'm gonna eat this chick's chips and then leave.
Yeah, onion dip.
It was good onion dip.
I've got a smoked brisket dip in my fucking.
Fuck you, dude, that sounds so good.
It's very good. I was fucking stoned last night after watching In the Bedroom. Sat out here and ate it over my sink like a fucking disgusting.
You didn't watch In the Bedroom stoned, did you?
Yes.
What does it matter? Who cares?
It's a terrible movie to watch.
It was my day off.
I
ate an edible and sat there and came up while the dude was shot.
Zoned in on the emotions of the film. That's fine. Yeah, it's not my go-to to watch Stone, but you know, whatever.
I watch a lot of weird shit when I'm high.
Yeah, fair.
Yeah, dude. I like getting blazed and watching Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy. That's my.
I like watching Jack with Robin Williams.
I like eating acid and watching Les Mis.
Good one.
I know. I mean, that is a good one to watch while you're on acid. It's a highly emotional, little giant set pieces. You know, great movie. If you guys haven't seen that, Les Mis, I suggest it's really good.
Kids
other than dying of HIV, what are these kids doing 10 years from now, 20 years from now?
Most of them are dead.
They're in the fucking gutter somewhere. I don't know.
And that's one of the last shot of the movie. There is some documentary cinema verite stuff at the end because they're apparently in a bus or something, videotaping some handheld camera, lower quality out. You see just people in the gutters, but you also see older people like doing Tai Chi or something in the park. As almost to counterbalance.
Yeah. You should definitely, since you haven't seen CKY stuff, Scott, you should go on YouTube and see if you can find those. They're super fun to watch, and they're like a
Super,
fucking time capsule of like the late
Yeah.
90s, early 2000s.
Is the heaviest influence on Mega 64, by the way. They love CKY.
Oh yeah.
And that's like in high school, they would, when I was watching Mega 64, and also Jackass had a resurgence because of the third one coming out. So both of them talking about their influences and relations to CKY made me look at that stuff, and it was fucking cool.
Dude, I used to, like, the first times I ever smoked weed, we would sit in a house that didn't have any furniture and watch CKY on VHS that my friend's older brother had.
I would sometimes I would go to Matt Musser, actually, him and Dimitri. I don't know if it was Dimitri at it, but Matt Musser had like some obscure like DVDs and VHSs of like skate compilations and stuff. And but also like a lot of kids I went to church with, weirdly enough, I would go over to their house and they would show me skate videos.
That's like, Tony Hawk's fault.
Yeah, it's Tony Hawk's. And you know, these videos are much tamer than what, you know, CKY.
So also, was it Fellowship Bible, those fucking kids?
Probably. Shit.
Those are the kids that were like into like hardcore music and fucking skateboarding and like cigarettes out in the parking lot. And like,
they had hardcore shows. If it's a church I'm thinking of, at that church.
At the church, yeah. PM Today and fucking
Hard for a Hand.
Like yeah, Hard for a Hand. Holy shit. Throw me back to wearing fucking purple skinny jeans and shit, dude.
Yeah, I remember that.
Good times. That was back when like the wave of like, oh, Christian hardcore metalcore is almost as popular as regular hardcore metalcore. So let's push this shit.
I will not have sex before marriage.
Oh shit, dude. August Burns Red. I remember when they came to Little Rock, dude. That was a big deal. I didn't get to go because I was poor, but you know.
Yeah, it's probably
with the Winter Jam though. We saw Skillet.
Dude, August Burns Red. Some of their shit, you know, it holds up to a degree. It does. I like that shit. That's nostalgia for me.
We had. I mean, I know we've related parts of our lives to this movie, but on the whole, I guess I don't know. Where did you live in Detroit? Where did you live in Michigan, Casher?
Detroit.
You live in Detroit. Okay. Well, Casher's lived in an urban environment.
Yeah. Well, I've been nowhere near this lifestyle. You know, growing up, I had no idea.
The closest I had to this lifestyle in Arkansas was kicking it with the Easley twins at the fucking trailer park. And like robbing fucking mailboxes of credit cards and like fake fights and stealing 4-wheelers from his aunt's backyard and riding around those and kicking it with like Austin Fetcho and shit like that. One time a dog bit me right on my belly button, the top of it, and I punched it and I had to run all the way back to Paul Easley's trailer, man. Scared the shit out of me.
Yeah, fuck big dogs. They used to scare me too.
It was a pit bull, man.
Oh yeah, well.
It just really does impress me how much, because in our current town where we're living, or you know, in Arkansas, there's no public transportation, so you're kind of at the whims of where you can walk, or if you can get a ride or something.
You could walk pretty far back in those days. I used to walk to fucking Adrian's house from my mom's house.
Yeah, dude. Holy shit.
I used to fucking hoof it.
But well, I'm just saying, it's weird. Even when I was living in Madrid, I would see kids out. And of course, drinking age there is 18 too. Sick. And I would see kids out and teenagers just in the streets, able to go across this entire giant city. And it's just a far cry from how I grew up.
So foreign to me. And then, but also like, I've always had ideas and scripts and shit to push the Grease factor, and this movie is vindicating to me because it's you know,
precursor to Grease.
Well, you know, but like this
lots of Larry Clark movies are that Grease.
I know, but it's like someday I want to push the boundaries of that. But the novel I wrote based off of my own high school experiences is fairly PG-13, and I wanted it to be that way. So I don't know. It's interesting. I don't know. I like both sides of things. I like the classic like Spielberg Americana side of like coming of age teenager shit a lot. Like
in that podcast we had, Empire of the Sun, where like
raining
down food and he's all happy.
Okay, but you know what I mean, like that. And then I like the exact opposite of that, which is extremo shit like this.
Yeah,
so
the subversion.
This and Gummo and Bully and all those fucking movies, man.
Yeah.
It's the shit.
Yeah. So yeah, that's all I have to say. Anything else you want to talk about?
Yeah, you guys want to talk about dick sizes and what is appropriate and what's not?
I do think this is. I did, because we reviewed this movie next to In the Bedroom. I do think these are weirdly interesting companion pieces in parts, just because I don't know. They're both about kids being stupid, teenagers being stupid in a way, but on opposite ends of the economic spectrum.
Well, like, one of my things that I thought because this was one of my choices for the summer series. My other one was the Feel Good Way, Way Back, which is an actual feel good movie compared to one of the most disgustingly raw movies you can fucking watch.
I intentionally picked In the Bedroom because I wanted something depressing to go along with Barb and Star, my other pick.
Fuck you. That's weird. We're fucked. Weird.
Yeah. Also, it sounded interesting. All things must be balanced. Well, if you can make a movie greasier than this, then you need Jesus, Adrian. I'll just say that.
Yeah, well.
Cody Long fucks a ham at the end of a movie that he made.
It's a chicken, you fucking dildo.
Sorry. He's vegan. Does it really matter?
Food for thought, everyone. Thanks for watching.
Next time it's going to be a bowl of beans. Just like...